Hey, what up, guys? Just want to make a quick video talking about Traptrix a little bit more and my experiences playing it since the deck has came out about, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. And yeah, I've made it to Masters with the deck. Show you my little profile thing. You can see right there. Let's go here. Let's go to Duel. Yeah, so that's all I've been playing. It's a deck I showed cased a few weeks ago. Hit Masters. I'll show you my match percentage and whatever as far as I can go. So, as you can kind of see, a lot of the games end in the first 4 turns. Rarely do I go past like turn 4. I think this was against a mirror match, and then yeah, I just went back and forth for a while. Ended up just losing on that one. But yeah, see, a lot of the games end in like 2 turns. If pretty interesting, right? But I think my win percentage overall, like if we just take a look at like the last how many games is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, like 20 games, right? So out of 20 games, I lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 games. So what is the percentage on that? Let me bust out my little calculator real quick. Where is the calc? Right, so we lost 6 games, right? So basically, have about a 70% win rate, right? So that's pretty good. That's good enough to for this particular deck. So my estimate is about between 70 to 80% win rate. Probably average around 75% win rate. Maybe even a little bit less. But I climbed from I think silver all the way to master. So yeah, I want to say that's the win percentage of the deck. And let's talk about my experiences a little bit and like some of like the tough matchups and whatnot. So the deck itself, notice a few things, right? So one thing is sometimes you get non-starter hands, which means there's times where I draw a bunch of hand traps. I'll draw like Maxi, Ash Blossoms, Impermanence, and like no, or like a bunch of traps and like no monsters. So that's the one thing is like, if you're not playing Prosperity, then there are gonna be pretty high chances where you aren't gonna be drawing your starting monsters to start off with. So that might be an issue sometimes, but I think that is like maybe 1 out of 10 games, maybe 2 out of 10 games where I get a hand where it's just not really playable per se, and that's fine, right? The other thing is going first. You usually have a really good high percentage win rate. The problem with going first is you lose to essentially just one card, and that's Maxi. Playing this deck, I've never gotten Nibiru. Maybe one time out of like the last like 50 or 60 games that has anyone ever dropped a Nibiru on me. It's more that I summon, I don't know, Mamelo, or I summon Pudica and they immediately Max C, and I just don't have a way to stop Max C. That sort of ends your turn there, because you have two choices: either to combo off and give them like, I don't know, 10 cards, and then pray you have enough negation interruption to stop them from playing, or you summon your monster, you summon into Sarah, you set a few cards, maybe extend once or twice, and put up a fairly weak board. So the main weakness of this particular deck, I want to say, is just straight up Max C. If you're going first, you're not really worried about lightning storms, you're not really worried about evenly matches as much. I have had people try to evenly me and I still won. I have people lightning storm. I have people cast both evenly and lightning storm in the same turn and I still won. So like those are not as bad. Like the board breakers don't harm you as much. Dark Ruler might suck a little bit, but even then, Dark Ruler doesn't mean you all lose because you still have your back roll to kind of disrupt them, and not too many people are playing Dark Ruler anyways. But Maxi is the one card where this deck just like shuts down if you cannot outplay the Maxi, and yeah, that's the one thing I've noticed, and that's where most of my losses going first is just the maxing. If they ash me, they imperm me, that's perfectly fine. I can still combo off, still play through a lot of that. Even the Biru, which is extraordinarily rare. But yeah, once Maxi's like activated and you just don't stop with Ash, or you don't stop with your Call by the Grave, your turn essentially ends. So that's sort of like the main weakness of this deck, is that you know, Maxi just hampers your ability to play. Another thing is going second. Going second is not too bad actually, because going second, I've blown out people's board with evenly matches. I've had drawn enough hand disruption to sort of outplay most of their boards. And so going second is not usually bad. But if you go second and they also play Maxi on your turn, then you're basically done. You can't outplay him at that point. So that's a card. Like that, Maxi in the format is just absolutely disgusting. Also, when you set up a weak board and you Maxi, like if you're playing against tier elements, in my experience, if you go first, they Maxi you put up a weak board, but you also have your Maxi in your hand, and you pass, praying that your Maxi is going to stop them from playing. It really doesn't. They will just take the Maxi challenge and it will OTK you. So from my experience, that's an issue with this deck too. Sometimes is like, or if if you set up an okay board and they somehow break it and they still power through the Maxi, they'll just make up. They'll fuse enough times where it's like a critical mass where you can't stop all of their fusion, you can't stop all of their plays, and then they just make a board and they just OTK you from there. So, like, yeah, it's not that great. Or the other thing is, if you go second and you Maxi someone, the problem with Maxi in this particular deck sometimes is you have to hope one or two things happen. You have to hope your opponent doesn't get greedy and they stop playing, or if they do get greedy and they start playing, hopefully you draw some other interruptions like Ash Blossom or Imperm. Otherwise, if they take the Maxi challenge, the problem with this deck is there's nothing in this deck that draws outs boards really, like as other than evenly match. So if you don't draw your evenly match and they make a huge board and you draw like 10 cards, you could draw like as many Traptrix monsters as you want. It just doesn't do anything because you're stuck with one normal summon per turn, right? Unless you have the garden. So if you don't have the garden and you draw like, I don't know, a bunch of this, you draw the Therians, you draw all that, and you draw your traps, they don't do anything because you're going second. So yeah, that's a huge issue, is that they take the challenge. Maxi doesn't really actually help you break anyone's board. So that's why the Evenlies were kind of important, because they sort of soft break a board. But if they have negation up, unless you draw like triple evenly match or like double evenly match, Maxi generally doesn't really draw you in out to their board. Because we're not playing Lava Golem, we're not playing Brigeki, for example, we're not playing Dark Rulers, we're not playing Super Poly or Forbidden Droplets. So if they make a board full of negation and just interruption, and you just don't have a way to break that with if you don't draw your evenly matches, Maxi is basically kind of useless. So those are my perspective on like sort of like the reasons why I think most of my losses are attributed to was just that, or just misplaying in general. Like my toughest matchup, or like the worst matchup for this particular deck, is generally, I want to say, tier elements and branded, as you know. So branded, they you play through a lot of your traps, a lot of your interruptions. Obviously, if you Ash their branded fusion, cool, it's whatever, they're done. But you don't mash their branded fusion, they get out enough fusions, they get out Mirror Jade. It's a bit of a rough matchup. Or if they have branded loss, your traps are essentially useless against their fusion cards for the most part, since you can't really interrupt them. Tier elements, the problem with them is the critical mass fusions. Once they get out like all the tier bosses, like I don't have all of them, but they get out like Kaleido Heart, or they get out Rukalos, you're kind of done. Like there's no way to really outplay these two cards. They're really difficult, especially Rukalos, because she basically stops like your Hotea. She stops Dianea. She stops a lot of like things that kind of require you to kind of start off your combo, or at least start playing to break through a board. But yeah, once they get these two out, it's pretty rough. It's hard to break their board. On top of that, they also maybe sometimes have a they may have like Soliek, or they have Crimey, and it's just like, oh well, you summon something, they cry you, and you're just basically done. You can't really outplay that, so kind of rough there. And yeah, that's just from my experience. It's just that they fuse a lot during your turn and their turn, and it's just very hard to keep up with the deck sometimes. So just be warned. And those were, I think, most of my losses were to tier elements and branded. I think mostly tier branded. I think I have a 50-50, maybe 60-40 win rate. But tiers is just I gotta get lucky, or they gotta brick, or I gotta play perfectly in order to beat them. So tiers is probably the worst matchup for the deck. Mirror matches are not too bad. I say mirror matches are a little bit better because you are able to extend further than they can most of the time, and you're able to kind of protect your board with Regulus. So if you go first, like getting Regulus out against the mirror match is really good because then you make most of their evenly matches kind of dead. And Hyperion is really, really good too against the mirror match. They normal summon, I don't know, like Mamel activate effect. You activate Hyperion. It not only does it negate its effect and destroy it, it basically stops, Traptrix's entire turn right there. So mirror matches, I want to say for the most part, we are relatively good against. Same thing with Labyrinth. Labyrinth is a fairly good matchup for our deck, namely because of Sarah. Sarah will like make it very punishing for your opponent to activate any sort of trap. I had a lot of like Labyrinth player also try to get rid of Sarah using Big Welcome, and they just kind of, some of them immediately shame concede, some of them don't. But yeah, like as long as you link summon Sarah, like she's just really, really good against Lab because they just can't really. There's nothing they can do to really get rid of her other than attacking over her, or maybe using Lady's effect. Was it Lady or Lovely's effect to try to pop it. But yeah, like Labyrinth is generally pretty good. Also, evenly match blows them out if they don't have like some sort of way to negate it. And they're not really, no one's really playing Red Reboot either. You would think people would be excuse me there, maining Red Reboots, but I haven't had Red Reboot really activated on me. Maybe one time, and that was really it. But Red Reboot, not really seeing that often. So most of your traps are fine. You will run into a lot of Harpy Feather Dusters, but like this deck doesn't really require a back row. It's most of our interaction is in our monsters, so Harpy's Feather Dusters doesn't really hurt us that badly. Sometimes I'll even let it go. Like if I have Regulus on the board and I have like maybe one face down, and maybe I have this Colosseum on the board, people will Harpy's Feather Dusters, and I just let it go because like I don't really care about my back row, and I don't really care about this Colosseum, and I don't really care about Borea going to the graveyard. I'm still leaving up Regulus to negate another card, an important one or something like that. And so yeah, Harpy's Lightning Storm's not too bad. Obviously, evenly match is a little rough. When someone evenly matches you, you generally want to keep Sarah, because that will allow you to still come off your. You should, in theory, be able to activate Sarah at the end of the turn, summon maybe like a Dionea, grab back maybe a Hotea from the graveyard, and then activate Sarah's effect again, set another trap hole card, or you summon out Dionea, trigger Sarah, set another. So you still kind of recover a little bit of your card advantage if you leave Sarah on the board. Sometimes you don't have an option. Sometimes you might have to pick something else. But that's namely the card I would pick to leave on the board once you do get evenly matched. But evenly matches, it's pretty rare outside of facing other mirror matches or facing maybe Labyrinth or something like that. Yeah. Anyways, I think that's basically sort of my experience playing the deck up until Masters here. I'll go even show you like maybe a quick match. I think this match was interesting. I think this is the mirror match right here. So you can kind of, oh, I guess I can't see it. Maybe no. No. Okay, so I guess it's not letting me replay my my games for some reason. Maybe because I'm maxed out on the replays. Not too sure, but I wish I could show you guys. Anyways, this was against a mirror match for my final um, win to the or final upgrade to Masters, and he was playing pure Traptrix, I think. Let's actually check the deck. Yeah, he's playing pure Traptrix with Rika Princess. I guess that's interesting. Um, Playing quite a bit of traps, which is not bad per se. Yeah, it's a pretty basic Traptrix deck here. I'm surprised he's only playing one Ash and one Max C. Uh, I generally prefer just to max these out. But I guess his version of deck here doesn't really special summon all that much, so I guess Ash is not super duper important. Either way, you know that's his choice there. Let's see, what did I play against here? I play against the deities. This was an interesting one. Wasn't too hard, I think. This one when I lose it, I think this was another. Oh, okay. So this one I think I just lost to because I got ran over. So there was just Rikas over here, pure Rikas. And then let's see, what was this deck? Yeah, Sword Soul. Sword Soul wasn't too bad. This one was a pretty long one. Let's check. Yeah, Branded. Beat Branded over here. Let's look at the losses here. So this version of Traptrix I thought was kind of interesting, mainly because it bought out F-Zero. I was able to out the F-Zero, but like it was interesting. I think overall I think he went into like Gaga Magician, brought back Alamosaurus or Alamoris here, and then went into F-Zero, and then went into Draco Future here, which it's a pretty cool combo, I guess. If you want to do that. But I think here he just went first, and I set up and just kept interrupting my plays, I guess, and that was a little rough to sort of play through. But yeah, that's why we went back and forth for quite a while, and he ended up just winning out the game with damage per se. This one I think it was probably against Tears or something like that. Yeah, this was Tears. Tears was pretty rough. Which was this one? Oh, this was just a Numeron OTK deck, so don't really have much to say about that one. I think with the Numeron OTK deck one, I just didn't draw any monsters, so I couldn't really even stop him. So that was just a bad hand more than losing to Numerons. Yeah, this another loss to Tears here. Like I said, I think Tears is obviously the hardest matchup. Yep, another loss to Tears. Yeah, Tears is just very tough matchup. Everything else though I think is very manageable. Just playing against Tears is a little rough there. Anyways, guys, that's all I got to say about the deck. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Next season, I think I'm gonna try to play with Labyrinth, and basically go up there. I don't think I'll try for Masters next season, but like this is the Labyrinth deck I'm kind of working on. Now, I'm not the greatest Labyrinth player for sure, but I do like combo trap style decks, so Traptrix and Labyrinth are just right up my alley, so that's what I'll be doing. That's what I'll probably be talking about next. This deck still needs a lot of testing because I have no idea what to put in the extra deck. I don't really know what's a good main deck stuff. Like options could be like adding in Cyframe Gamma and whatnot. Ratios are a little weird. But I think this deck is what I'm going to be aiming to try out next. So look forward to that. And yeah, that's all I want to talk about. And hopefully you guys have a good day, and see you next time.